My name is Officer James Crawford, and I've been with the Michigan State Police for the past 11 years. I work mostly highway patrol, the kind of shifts where you spend hours on empty stretches of road watching for speeders and drunk drivers. It's routine work most nights. Pull someone over, check their license, maybe write a ticket, send them on their way. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand that I'm not the type to exaggerate or make things up. I deal in facts, in evidence, in what I can see and verify. What I'm about to tell you happened in November of 2023, and I know how it's going to sound. I know some of you are going to think I got lucky or that I'm reading too much into coincidence. But I was there, I saw what I saw, and I know that something was trying to tell me not to make that traffic stop. Something was trying to save my life. It was a Tuesday night around 11 p.m. Temperature had dropped to about 28 degrees, and there was this fog rolling in off Lake Michigan that made visibility terrible. The kind of night where you drive slow and keep your high beams off because they just reflect back at you. I was working a stretch of highway between Grand Rapids and Muskegon, an area I'd patrolled hundreds of times before, mostly empty at this hour. Maybe a semi-truck every 15 minutes. A few late-night commuters heading home. I'd been on shift for about 6 hours and I was looking forward to my break. My wife had packed me a thermos of coffee and a sandwich. Simple things, but they meant a lot on nights like this. Cold nights, lonely nights, the kind where you start thinking about career choices and whether you made the right call becoming a cop. Around 11:30 p.m. I noticed a vehicle ahead of me. A dark sedan. Looked like a Honda Accord or something similar. It was driving normally. Staying in its lane, speed was legal. Nothing suspicious. But then I noticed the left tail light was out. Minor traffic violation. Normally I might let something like that slide on a night like this, fog and all, but I'd been told earlier that week to increase traffic stops. Department wanted more presence on the highways, more interactions, so I flipped on my lights and pulled the vehicle over. The sedan took a moment to respond, but eventually pulled onto the shoulder. I called it in on the radio. Dispatch acknowledged. I gave them the license plate number and my location. Standard procedure. Everything felt normal, routine, just another traffic stop. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of my cruiser. The fog was thick. I could barely see 20 feet ahead. My boots crunched on the gravel shoulder as I approached the driver's side window. That's when I noticed something odd. The car was still running, but I couldn't hear the engine. No sound at all. Just silence and fog and the faint red glow of the working tail light. I reached the window and tapped on it with my flashlight. The glass was fogged up on the inside. I couldn't see the driver. I tapped again, a little harder this time. "Police officer, roll down your window, please." Nothing. No movement. No response. The window stayed up. I felt the first tingle of unease then. That instinct that every cop develops. The feeling that something isn't quite right. I put my hand on my service weapon, not drawing it, just resting my hand there. Ready. "Sir or ma'am, I need you to roll down your window. This is a routine traffic stop." Finally, the window began to lower. Slowly, like whoever was operating it was doing it manually with a hand crank, even though this was clearly a modern car with power windows. As the glass descended, I could see inside. The driver was a man, middle-aged, maybe 45 or 50. He wore a dark jacket and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. His hands were on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. Perfect positioning. Too perfect. "Evening, officer," he said. His voice was flat, emotionless, like he was reading from a script. "Evening. Do you know why I pulled you over?" He turned his head slowly to look at me. I still couldn't see his eyes under that cap, but I could see his mouth. Thin lips, no expression. "The tail light." "That's right. Your left tail light is out. Can I see your license and registration, please?" He didn't move, just sat there with his hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead now. Not at me. At something in front of him, or nothing at all? Sir, I need to see your license and registration. I don't think you want to do that, officer. My hand tightened on my weapon. Excuse me? I don't think you want to see my license. I don't think you want me to reach for anything. I think you should go back to your cruiser and drive away. Every alarm in my head was going off now. This was wrong, all wrong. But I'd been trained for situations like this. Stay calm, stay in control. Don't let them see you're nervous. Sir, I'm going to need you to show me your hands and step out of the vehicle. He finally turned to look at me fully. And that's when I saw his eyes. They were wrong. The pupils were too large. Black pools that seemed to swallow the light from my flashlight. And they weren't blinking. Not at all. Officer Crawford, he said, and hearing my name come out of his mouth made my blood run cold. I hadn't told him my name. My name tag was on my uniform, but it was dark and foggy, and there was no way he could have read it from inside the car. You have a wife named Sarah. You have 2 daughters. Emma is 8. Lily is 5. They're sleeping right now. Sarah is watching television. She's worried about you. She always worries on nights like this. I took a step back. How do you know that? I know a lot of things. I know you almost didn't make this stop tonight. You were thinking about your break, about that coffee your wife made you. You were going to let me drive past, but you changed your mind. You decided to do your job, and that decision is going to cost you your life. My weapon was in my hand now. I didn't remember drawing it. Step out of the vehicle now. He smiled then. It was the most unnatural thing I'd ever seen, like someone who'd learned what a smile was supposed to look like, but didn't understand the emotion behind it. There are 3 bodies in my trunk, officer. 2 women, 1 man. I picked them up over the past week, different places, different states. The man is from Ohio. The women are from Indiana. Their families are looking for them. The FBI has been looking for them. And if you open my trunk, if you arrest me, I will escape. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but eventually. And when I do, the first place I will go is to your house. I will visit Emma and Lily. I will visit Sarah, and I will make them pay for this traffic stop. I should have called for backup right then, should have radioed for every available unit. But I couldn't move, couldn't think, because I believed him. Every word. Who are you? I managed to ask. Someone who's been doing this for a very long time. Someone who's very good at not getting caught. Until tonight. Until you decided to pull me over for a broken tail light. If there are bodies in your trunk, then you're under arrest. You're coming with me. He shook his head slowly. No, officer, I'm not. Because you're going to make a choice right now. You're going to choose between being a hero and being a father. You can arrest me. You can open that trunk and find those bodies, and you'll be on the news tomorrow. They'll call you a hero, the cop who caught a serial killer. But your family will never be safe again. I have friends, people like me. They'll finish what I started. My mind was racing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. You're lying. Am I? Check my trunk if you don't believe me. But once you do, once you see what's in there, there's no going back. I stood there in that fog with my weapon pointed at this man, and I didn't know what to do. Every part of my training said arrest him, call backup, process the scene. But every part of me that was a father, a husband, was screaming to let him go. And then something strange happened. A sound, faint at first but growing louder. It was coming from inside the car, from the back seat. A voice, a woman's voice. Let him go. I leaned down to look in the back seat, but I couldn't see anyone, just darkness. But the voice came again. Officer Crawford, let him go. He's telling the truth. If you arrest him tonight, your family dies. Let him go. Who's back there? I demanded. The driver smiled that horrible smile again. You can't save everyone, officer. Sometimes you have to choose. Your family or strangers. What's it going to be? I thought about Sarah, about Emma and Lily, about tucking them into bed before my shift. about how Emma had made me promise to be careful, how Lily had given me her lucky rock to keep in my pocket. I lowered my weapon. "Drive away," I said quietly. "Drive away, and don't come back to Michigan." He started the engine, the sound suddenly loud in the silence. "Thank you, officer. You made the right choice." "Did I?" "You're going to wonder about that for the rest of your life, but yes, you did." The window rolled up. The car pulled back onto the highway and disappeared into the fog. I stood there on the shoulder for I don't know how long. Could have been minutes, could have been hours. Eventually I walked back to my cruiser and got inside. I didn't report the stop, didn't mention it to dispatch, didn't tell anyone. I finished my shift and drove home. Sarah was asleep on the couch. I checked on the girls, both sleeping soundly. Everything was normal, safe, untouched. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd made a terrible mistake. The next morning I did something I shouldn't have done. I ran the license plate from the stop. It came back as belonging to a Honda Accord registered to an address in Detroit. I called the Detroit PD and asked them to do a welfare check on that address. They called me back 3 hours later. The house was empty, had been for months, no sign of the owner, no sign of anyone. I spent weeks checking missing persons reports, looking for 3 people, 2 women and a man from Ohio and Indiana. I found them. All 3 had been reported missing over the past month. The man was a truck driver from Cleveland. The women were college students from Fort Wayne. All 3 cases went cold. No bodies were ever found. Sometimes late at night I wonder if I could have saved them. If I'd arrested that man, if I'd opened that trunk, would they still be alive? Or would my family be dead instead? I'll never know. I still work highway patrol, still make traffic stops. But I've never seen that dark sedan again. Never had another stop like that one. And I hope I never do. Because here's what keeps me up at night. That voice from the back seat, the woman's voice telling me to let him go. I've listened to the recording from my body camera 100 times. There's no voice on the recording, just me talking to the driver, just silence from the back seat. But I heard it clear as day, and I think I know whose voice it was. One of the missing women, one of the bodies in that trunk, trying to save me, trying to make sure her death meant something. I made a choice that night, and I have to live with it every single day. When I tuck my daughters into bed, when I kiss my wife goodnight, I think about those 3 people, about their families still waiting for answers. And I wonder if protecting my own family was worth the cost. I don't know if that man is still out there, still picking up strangers, still filling trunks with bodies. But I know he was right about one thing. I'm going to wonder about that night for the rest of my life. And I'm going to wonder if the next cop who pulls him over will make the same choice I did, or if they'll be braver than me. My name is Deputy Lisa Martinez, and I've been working for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department in California for 7 years. I handle a lot of welfare checks in my area, especially during the summer months when the heat can be dangerous for elderly residents living alone. It's part of the job that I actually enjoy, checking on people, making sure they're okay. Most of the time it's routine. Knock on the door, have a conversation, make sure they have water and air conditioning, file a report, move on. I'm telling you this story because I need someone to know what happened. I need to put it into words even though I know how it's going to sound. I know some of you will think I hallucinated, or that the heat got to me, or that I let my imagination run wild. But I was there. I was in that house. And what I found inside wasn't human. It was August 15th, 2024. One of the hottest days of the year. Temperature hit 114 degrees by noon, and it wasn't dropping much even as evening approached. I'd been on shift since 2 p.m., and I'd already done 3 welfare checks. All of them were fine. Elderly folks dealing with the heat but managing. Around 7 p.m. dispatch called with another one. "Martinez, we've got a welfare check request for 4782 Desert View Lane. Neighbor called it in. Says they haven't seen the resident in 3 days. Mail's piling up. No answer when they knock." I copied the address and headed that way. Desert View Lane was in one of the older parts of the county. Houses from the 1960s. Small lots, lots of retirees. The kind of neighborhood where everyone knows everyone and people look out for each other. The house was a single-story ranch style, beige stucco, clay tile roof, dead lawn. The mailbox was indeed overflowing with mail and newspapers. I parked in the driveway and grabbed my radio. "Dispatch, I'm at 4782 Desert View. Beginning welfare check." "Copy that, Martinez." I walked up to the front door. The heat was oppressive. I could feel sweat already soaking through my uniform. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. "Sheriff's Department, welfare check." Still nothing. I tried the doorbell but didn't hear it ring inside. Probably broken. I walked around to the side of the house to check the windows. All the curtains were drawn. No signs of life. No sounds from inside. I went back to the front door and tried the handle. Locked. I pulled out my phone and called the neighbor who'd made the report. An older woman named Mrs. Chen answered. "Mrs. Chen, this is Deputy Martinez. I'm at Mr. Wilson's house now. Do you have a key by any chance?" "Oh, yes, dear. Harold gave me one years ago in case of emergencies. I'll bring it right over." She appeared 2 minutes later. Small woman in her 70s, wearing a sun hat and carrying a key on a floral keychain. She looked worried. "I haven't seen Harold in 3 days, she said as she handed me the key. "That's not like him. He waters his plants every morning at 6. Hasn't done it once this week, and his car is still in the garage, I checked. When was the last time you saw him?" "Sunday morning. He was getting his newspaper. Waved at me. Seemed fine." Today was Wednesday. 3 days. In this heat, that was concerning. I thanked Mrs. Chen and told her to wait outside while I checked the house. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. The smell hit me immediately. Not the smell of death like you might expect. Something else, something wrong. It smelled like copper and ammonia and something sweet and rotting all mixed together. I covered my nose with my sleeve and called out, "Mr. Wilson? Sheriff's Department. I'm coming inside." The interior was dark, all the curtains drawn like I'd seen from outside, but even darker than it should have been, like the house was swallowing light. I flipped the light switch by the door, but nothing happened. Power was out, or the bulb was dead. I pulled out my flashlight and moved into the living room. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a space frozen in time. Old furniture, outdated carpet, family photos on the walls, everything covered in a thin layer of dust. But something was off. The dust patterns were wrong, like something had been moving through the room recently, dragging across surfaces, but the patterns didn't match human movement. They were too wide, too low to the ground. "Mr. Wilson, it's Deputy Martinez. I'm here to make sure you're okay." A sound from deeper in the house. A wet, sliding sound, like something heavy being dragged across linoleum, coming from what I assumed was the kitchen. I moved through the living room toward the kitchen doorway. My flashlight beam bounced with each step. Sweat was running down my face now. The house felt even hotter than outside. Stifling. Thick. The air felt wrong in my lungs. I reached the kitchen doorway and shined my light inside. The kitchen was a mess. Cabinet doors hanging open. Dishes scattered on the counter. The refrigerator door was open. Food had spoiled. That explained some of the smell, but not all of it. And then I saw Mr. Wilson. He was sitting at the kitchen table, his back to me, perfectly still. He wore a white undershirt and khaki pants. His arms rested on the table. His head was tilted forward like he'd fallen asleep. "Mr. Wilson?" I called out gently. "Sir, are you okay?" He didn't move. I approached slowly, cautiously. Something about the scene felt staged, arranged, wrong. I came around the side of the table to see his face, and I wish I hadn't. His eyes were open, wide open, staring at nothing. But they weren't his eyes anymore. They were black, completely black, like someone had filled his eye sockets with ink, and his mouth was open too. Open way too wide, unnaturally wide, like his jaw had been dislocated. But he wasn't dead, because as I stood there staring at him, he blinked. Those black eyes blinked at me, and his mouth closed slightly, and a voice came out. Not his voice. Multiple voices speaking at once in perfect unison. "You shouldn't be here." I stumbled backward. My hand went to my weapon. "Mr. Wilson? Sir, do you need medical attention?" His head turned toward me, moving too smoothly, too fluidly, like his neck had no bones. "This vessel is expired. We're trying to find a new one. This one lasted 3 days. We need something fresher." "Who are you? What are you?" The thing wearing Mr. Wilson's body stood up, but it didn't stand like a person stands. It unfolded, like watching a puppet being lifted by strings. His limbs moved at wrong angles. His spine bent backward. His feet left the ground for a moment before settling back down. "We are what came through the hole in the sky. We are what fell from the stars when they burned. We are looking for vessels to wear. This one is used up. But you are fresh. You are strong." I drew my weapon. "Stay back. I'm warning you." It tilted its head, Mr. Wilson's head, but at an angle that would have snapped a normal person's neck. "Your weapon cannot harm us. We are not flesh. We are not blood. We are the space between atoms. We are the darkness before light. We simply borrow bodies to move through your world." It took a step toward me, Mr. Wilson's foot making a wet, squelching sound on the kitchen floor. I could see now that his skin was grey, mottled, dead tissue. Whatever was inside him had used him up, burned him out from the inside. "How many of you are there?" I asked, backing toward the kitchen doorway. "We do not count ourselves in your numbers. We are many, and we are one. We have been here since Sunday. We fell into this vessel while it was in the garden. We consumed it. We wore it. We walked through this house, learning about your world, about your rules, about your bodies. And you're looking for a new body. Yes, this one is failing. The meat is rotting, the bones are breaking. We need something new. Something that will last longer than 3 days." I was in the living room now, backing toward the front door. The thing followed me, moving in that horrible puppet-like way, Mr. Wilson's body jerking and sliding across the carpet. "Why are you here? On Earth?" "We did not choose to come here. We fell. We were cast out from the spaces between your reality. We were pushed through a tear in the fabric of everything. And now we are trapped. We need bodies to survive. We need vessels." "How many others like you are there?" It stopped moving, tilted its head again. "Enough. Some of us have found good vessels, strong ones. They will last years. Others are still looking, still falling, still arriving. Every night the sky tears open in places your eyes cannot see, and we fall through, looking for flesh to wear." My back hit the front door. I reached behind me for the handle. "I'm leaving now, and I'm calling this in. There will be others coming. Doctors, specialists. They cannot help this vessel. It is too late, but perhaps they can help us find new ones, fresh ones, strong ones like you." It lunged then, faster than should have been possible with a body in that condition. Mr. Wilson's corpse flying across the room toward me. I fired my weapon. 3 shots sent a mass. The bullets punched through his chest, but nothing happened. No blood, no reaction, just 3 holes in dead flesh. The thing crashed into me, and we both went through the door out onto the porch. I felt its hands on my arms, Mr. Wilson's hands, cold and slimy, skin sloughing off. I could feel it trying to do something, trying to push inside me, trying to transfer itself from his body to mine. And then Mrs. Chen was there, hitting the thing with her walking stick, screaming at it to let me go. The thing released me and turned toward her, but before it could grab her, I was back on my feet. I grabbed it by the back of Mr. Wilson's shirt and pulled with everything I had. We tumbled down the porch steps together. "Mrs. Chen, run!" I shouted. "Get back to your house and lock the doors." She didn't need to be told twice. She was gone in seconds. I rolled away from the thing and got to my feet. It was standing up again, that horrible unfolding motion. Mr. Wilson's body was falling apart now. His right arm hung at a wrong angle. His leg was bent backward, but it was still moving, still coming toward me. "You cannot stop us. We will find new vessels. We will spread. We will wear your bodies until we find a way home." I ran to my patrol car, got inside, locked the doors. The thing pressed Mr. Wilson's face against my window, those black eyes staring at me, that too wide mouth moving. "We will remember you, Deputy Martinez. We will remember your face, your smell, your essence, and when we find a vessel strong enough, we will come looking for you." I started the engine and threw the car in reverse. As I pulled away, I saw it standing in the driveway, Mr. Wilson's body finally collapsing, falling to the ground in a heap, the thing inside evacuating. I saw it then. For just a moment, a shadow without source, a darkness without shape. It slithered across the driveway toward the neighbor's yard and disappeared into the ground. I radioed for backup, for medical, for anyone. Multiple units responded. They found Mr. Wilson's body in the driveway, dead for at least 3 days according to the coroner. Cause of death was listed as heat stroke, dehydration. His body had been sitting in that house for days before I arrived. But I know better. I know what I saw, what I heard, what touched me. I filed a report, left out most of the details, said I found him deceased at the kitchen table, said I attempted CPR, said the body was in advanced decomposition. All true, just not the whole truth. I took 3 weeks off after that, told my sergeant I needed time to process finding a body. He understood, gave me the time. I spent it researching, looking for other cases, other unexplained deaths where the victim's eyes turned black, where bodies moved after death, where something wore human flesh like a suit. I found 16 cases in the past year, all in California, all in desert areas, all ruled as heat-related deaths. But in every case, there were details that didn't fit. Witnesses who saw the deceased moving days after death, neighbors who reported strange behavior before the death, bodies found in impossible positions. We're not alone. Something is here. Something that fell from the sky. Something that's learning how to wear us, how to be us. And it's spreading. I still work for the sheriff's department, still do welfare checks. But now I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for the others, the ones who've been taken, the ones being worn. Because here's what I learned, you can see them if you know what to look for. The eyes are wrong, too still, too focused, and they don't blink enough. Normal people blink 15 to 20 times per minute. These things blink maybe twice. They're conserving energy, trying to make the body last as long as possible. And sometimes late at night when I'm alone in my patrol car, I wonder if I'm still me. If that thing on Mr. Wilson's porch managed to slip inside me for just a second, just long enough to take root, just long enough to start wearing me from the inside, I look in the mirror and I count my blinks. 15, 16, 17. Still normal, still human, still me. But what if tomorrow I only blink twice? What if I wake up and I'm not me anymore? What if I'm one of them? I guess I'll know when I stop counting. My name is Sergeant Michael Torres, and I've been with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Law Enforcement Division for 14 years. Most of my work involves routine patrols, wildlife violations, and occasionally helping with search and rescue operations in the Rocky Mountains. I'm trained in wilderness survival, tracking, and emergency response. I've found dozens of lost hikers over the years, brought them all back safe. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand that I'm good at my job. I know these mountains, I know how people get lost and where to find them. What I'm about to tell you happened last September during what should have been a routine search and rescue operation. I know how it's going to sound. I know some of you are going to think we found exactly what we were looking for, but we didn't. What we brought back from those mountains wasn't the missing hiker. It was something else, something that looked like him, something that knew how to pretend. The call came in on a Friday afternoon. A 32-year-old male named David Reeves had gone hiking alone in the Flat Tops Wilderness area 3 days prior. His girlfriend reported him missing when he failed to return to their campsite. She said he'd gone on a day hike to a nearby ridge and never came back. She waited at the campsite for 2 days before hiking out to get help. I was part of a 5-person team assembled to search for him. We had 2 K9 units, 3 ground searchers including myself, and aerial support from a helicopter. The weather had been clear for the past week, so conditions were good. If David was out there, we'd find him. We started at the trailhead where David's car was still parked. The K9s picked up his scent immediately and led us up the trail toward the ridge his girlfriend had mentioned. The terrain was typical for this area: dense pine forests, rocky outcroppings. Elevation gain of about 2,000 feet over 5 miles, challenging but not extreme for an experienced hiker. About 3 miles in one of the K9s, a German shepherd named Ranger stopped and started acting strange. He was whining and backing away from the trail, refusing to go forward. His handler, Officer Denise Park, tried to coax him on, but Ranger wouldn't budge. "That's weird," Denise said. "He's never done this before." "What do you think it means?" I asked. "Could mean he's found something, or could mean there's a predator nearby, bear or mountain lion." We proceeded cautiously. The other K9, a bloodhound named Lucy, was still following the scent trail. She led us off the main path into denser forest. The underbrush was thick here, hard to navigate. We were pushing through branches and climbing over fallen logs, and then Lucy stopped too, started barking, not her usual tracking bark. This was aggressive, alert, warning bark. Something was ahead of us. We all drew our weapons, standard procedure when there might be a predator. "David Reeves," I called out. "Colorado Parks and Wildlife, if you can hear me, make some noise." We heard movement, someone pushing through the brush, and then we saw him, David Reeves, walking toward us. He looked roughed up. His clothes were dirty. His face was scratched. But he was walking normally, didn't appear to be injured. "Thank God," I said, holstering my weapon. David Reeves?" He stopped about 20 feet away, stared at us, didn't say anything. "David, I'm Sergeant Torres with Parks and Wildlife. We've been looking for you. Are you hurt?" He blinked slowly, then nodded. "I'm okay. I got lost. Couldn't find my way back." "That's all right. We're here now. Let's get you back to your girlfriend." But he didn't move, just stood there staring at us, and both K9s were going crazy, barking and pulling on their leashes, trying to get away from him, not toward him, away. "What's wrong with the dogs?" One of the other searchers, a younger officer named Brian, asked. "I don't know," Denise said. "They're scared. I've never seen them like this." I approached David slowly. "Are you sure you're okay? You've been out here for 3 days. Are you dehydrated? Do you need water?" "I'm fine," he said. His voice was flat, monotone. "I had water. From the streams." "Okay, good. Do you remember what happened? How you got separated from the trail?" "I went up to the ridge to take pictures. When I tried to come back down, I couldn't find the path. I wandered for a while, then I found a cave. I stayed there." Something about his story felt off. His cadence was wrong. The way he was standing was too still, too rigid. Normal people fidget, shift their weight, show emotion after being lost for 3 days. David was standing like a statue. "A cave?" I asked. "Where?" He pointed back the way he'd come. "That direction, maybe a mile, in the rocks." "Did you see any wildlife while you were out here? Any bears or lions?" "No, just trees and silence." Just trees and silence. Strange way to describe 3 days lost in the wilderness. Brian stepped forward. "Hey, man, your girlfriend is worried sick. Let's get you out of here so you can see her." David's head turned toward Brian. The movement was too smooth, too fluid, like his neck was on a swivel. "Yes, I would like to see her." We radioed in that we'd found David and started hiking back to the trailhead. David walked in the middle of our group. The K9 stayed as far away from him as their leashes would allow. They kept looking back at him and whining. Ranger even tried to bite him once when David got too close. "Sorry," Denise said. "I don't know what's gotten into them." "It's okay," David said in that same flat voice. "Dogs can sense things. They know I'm different now." That made everyone pause. "Different how?" I asked. He was quiet for a long moment, then said, "Being alone for 3 days changes you." We continued hiking. About halfway back to the trailhead, I noticed something else strange. David wasn't sweating. It was a warm day. We'd been hiking for over an hour. All of us were sweating, but David's face was completely dry. And he wasn't breathing hard. Not at all, like the hike wasn't affecting him. "David, are you feeling okay?" I asked. "You're not showing any signs of exertion." "I'm fine," he repeated. "I'm very strong." When we reached the trailhead, David's girlfriend Emma was waiting. She ran toward him, crying, "Oh my God, David, I was so worried." She hugged him. He stood there stiffly. Didn't hug her back. Just stood there with his arms at his sides. Emma pulled back. "David, what's wrong?" "I'm fine," he said. "I got lost. They found me." "You've been gone for 3 days. I thought you were dead." "I'm not dead. I'm right here." Emma looked at me, concerned, confused. "Is he okay? Did he hit his head or something?" "He seems to be in shock," I said. "We should get him to a hospital, have him checked out." We transported David and Emma to the nearest hospital in Rifle, Colorado. The doctors examined him, ran tests, blood work, brain scans. Everything came back normal, no injuries, no dehydration, no signs of exposure. Perfectly healthy. Better than healthy, actually. His vitals were better than they should have been for someone who'd been lost in the wilderness for 3 days. The doctors released him that evening with instructions to rest and stay hydrated. Emma took him back to their hotel. That should have been the end of it. Search successful. Missing hiker found. Case closed. But it wasn't the end. Because 3 days later, I got a call from the Rifle Police Department. They wanted to talk to me about David Reeves. I drove down to meet with them. The detective, a woman named Sarah Mills, showed me into an interview room. "Thanks for coming, Sergeant Torres. We need to ask you some questions about David Reeves." "Sure. What's going on?" "Did you notice anything unusual about David when you found him?" "I thought about the K9s, about his flat affect, about the way he didn't sweat." Yeah, several things. Why? She slid a file across the table. Inside were photos, crime scene photos, Emma's hotel room. There was blood everywhere, on the walls, on the bed, and Emma. What was left of Emma? She'd been torn apart. I felt my stomach drop. Jesus Christ, what happened? David Reeves happened. He killed her, tore her apart with his bare hands. Hotel staff heard screaming. By the time they got there, he was gone. We found him 6 hours later walking down Highway 13, covered in blood. We arrested him, brought him in. Did he say why he did it? He said he was hungry, said he needed to eat, said Emma tasted wrong, but she would do until he found something better. I stared at the photos. He said she tasted wrong. His words exactly. When we processed him, we found something else. She pulled out another photo, David's back, covered in strange marks, symbols maybe, or burns, or both. The doctors say these marks weren't there when they examined him after you brought him in. They appeared sometime between his release and the murder. What are they? We don't know. We sent photos to the FBI, to some specialists. Nobody can identify them. But here's where it gets really weird. She pulled out one more photo. A cave entrance. We sent a team back to the area where you found David. We found the cave he mentioned. Want to guess what was inside? What? David Reeves. The real David Reeves. He'd been dead for at least a week. Killed by a rockfall at the back of the cave. His body was still there, so if the real David Reeves has been dead for a week, who the hell did you pull out of those woods? I couldn't speak, couldn't process what she was saying. We'd found David. We'd talked to him, examined him. It was him. It had to be him. We ran DNA tests, Detective Mills continued. The David Reeves sitting in our holding cell right now is a perfect genetic match to the body we found in the cave. Perfect, which should be impossible. What are you saying? I'm saying something copied him. Something took his body, his DNA, his memories, his appearance, everything, and wore him like a suit. And that thing killed Emma. And it's in our holding cell right now waiting to see what we're going to do with it. I visited the holding cell against my better judgment. David, or whatever was wearing David's face, was sitting on the bench. He looked up when I entered, smiled. It was the first emotion I'd seen from him. Sergeant Torres, thank you for finding me. What are you? I asked. I'm David Reeves. No, you're not. David Reeves is dead. We found his body. The smile widened. I am David Reeves. I have his memories, his DNA, his fingerprints, his face. I am him in every way that matters. Except you killed Emma. She was part of the process. I needed to feed. The transformation requires energy. Transformation into what? He stood up, walked to the bars. Into something that can live in your world. Walk among you, be you. I came from somewhere else, somewhere between the stars. My kind doesn't have physical form. We're consciousness without body. But we found a way to cross over, to take bodies that are abandoned. David's body was perfect, fresh, undamaged except for the skull fracture that killed him. So, you're possessing his corpse? No. I reconstructed him at the cellular level. I am him, down to the last atom. But I'm also me. Both. Neither. Something new. Why? Because we're refugees. Our dimension collapsed. We had nowhere else to go. This reality was the closest. We've been arriving for months now, taking bodies, learning to be human. Some of us are better at it than others. I'm still learning. I made mistakes with Emma. I shouldn't have killed her. It drew attention. But I was hungry, and I didn't understand the consequences. How many of you are there? Hundreds, maybe thousands. We're scattered across your world, learning, adapting, becoming you. I stepped back from the bars. What happens now? Now you have a choice. You can try to expose us, tell people what we are. But who will believe you? We're genetically identical to the bodies we wear. We have their memories, their personalities. We are them. Or you can let us integrate, let us become part of your world. We're not here to harm you. We just need somewhere to exist. I didn't know what to say. Still don't. David Reeves, or whatever is wearing him, is still in custody. They can't charge him with murder because legally he's the victim. He's David Reeves. And David Reeves is dead. So what do you charge? A ghost? An alien? A thing that shouldn't exist? I've gone back to work, back to the mountains. But now when I find lost hikers, I look at them differently. I watch how they move, how they talk, whether they sweat, whether the dogs react to them. And sometimes I find people who seem just a little bit off, a little too still, a little too perfect. And I wonder if they're really lost, or if there's something else, something that's learning how to be human by wearing our dead. The K9s always know, they can smell it. Whatever it is these things carry, the dogs know they're wrong. But we don't listen to the dogs. We just bring them back, hand them over to their families, their friends, and we never know that we just delivered something that used to be human but isn't anymore. I still do search and rescue. I'm good at it. But now I'm afraid that every person I find is going to be another David, another Emma waiting to happen, another thing wearing human skin. And the worst part? I'm starting to wonder if I'm still me. If maybe when David touched my arm during the hike back, when I helped him over that fallen log, maybe he transferred something. Maybe I'm becoming one of them, maybe I already am. I check myself in the mirror every morning, looking for marks, symbols, burns. So far I'm clean. So far I'm still me. But what if tomorrow I'm not? What if I wake up and I'm something else and I'm hungry? And I need to feed. I guess I'll know when I stop being afraid. Because the real Michael Torres would never stop being afraid. But the thing wearing him wouldn't be afraid at all.